So
So the
I've got
moral of the
my,
story is you fly to Hawaii, spend a couple days in Hawaii, and then book that flight to Japan.
exactly. Now we're talking because it's going to be cheaper and you get to fly on a giant turtle. Hey, I'm Chris. Welcome to the Upgraded Points podcast.
And I'm Katie, and today we're talking about a price increase for Clear, some of our favorite business class products that you can book with points, and we'll answer some of your questions. And if you're enjoying the show, you can like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have questions or comments for the show, you can email us at podcast@upgradedpoints.com. So, Chris, what's going on with Clear?
Yeah, so in July, Clear Plus is increasing from $199 a year to $209 per year. For those who are not familiar, Clear is a membership-based program. They use biometric data to expedite airport and stadium security. It sometimes can be faster than TSA PreCheck, and it's usually worth it if you can get it reimbursed. So, for example, these prices are increasing, but American Express is also going to be increasing their credits as well. So, if you have the Platinum card, the Business Platinum card, the Amex Green card, the Hilton Aspire card from American Express, all of these cards are going to reimburse you every year that you have the card for Clear Plus. But that's not the only way to get a discount or free Clear, is it, Katie?
Yeah, no, if you don't have any of those cards and don't have that credit for Clear, if you are a United Mileage Plus or Delta Sky Miles member, you do get a discounted rate. And the new rate for those programs is $199. So you save $10 off of the full price. If you have status or certain United or Delta credit cards, you can get a rate of $169. If you have Premier 1K with United, it is $129, and that hasn't changed. And then if you have those top tier statuses, the United Global Services or Diamond Medallion or Delta 360, you get Clear for free without having to deal with any of those credits.
Very nice. All right, well, let's move on. This episode, we want to talk about our favorite business class products that we can actually book with points in 2025. Katie, why don't you kick it off with one of my favorites, and I'm pretty sure it's one of yours as well.
It is. Let's talk about Q Suites because this is one that everyone wants to book. It's a fantastic product. And I flew Q Suites a couple years ago and I paid 70,000 American Airlines miles plus $41 from JFK to Doha to the Maldives. And that's sort of the gold standard when you're booking Q Suites. If you can find that availability for 70,000 American Airlines miles, you're
Mm-hmm.
golden. I also booked flying back for that same trip for like 85,000 Aeroplan points, I think I used. And that's still a good deal. I was happy to pay that. But I looked on seats.aero, actually, they have a Q Suites Finder tool. So you can just click on that and it will show you either 60 days of availability if you have the free membership or a whole year if you have the pro membership. And you can see a lot of the dates for 70,000. There are a lot of dates that I found you could book through JetBlue for 90,000 miles, which again, it's not as amazing as that 70,000, but still, I would book that if that's the day that you
Yeah.
need to fly and you have JetBlue points. 90,000 for Q Suites is incredible, and that was to Doha. So that was from the US to Doha. So that is a great option. And while the availability can be few and far between, if you have some flexibility, it is still out there. And if you use that tool like Seats.aero, Q Suites Finder, you will see a lot of options.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, talking about some business class flights that I haven't booked yet, but I am trying very hard. I know it's possible. It's using Virgin Atlantic points to fly ANA, All Nippon Airlines. It's a Japanese airline that flies to the US and back to Tokyo. With Virgin Atlantic, if you can find availability, you can find it between 52,500 and 60,000 miles one way from the mainland of the US to Japan. Fees are going to be around $200, not the cheapest, but the quality, the product is really good. We hear nothing but good things about that. And you can, if you happen to be in Hawaii, it's even cheaper. I think it starts at 37,500 to
Mm.
fly business class. And from Hawaii, Katie, you actually fly their A380, which is they call it the Flying Hono.
Mm.
It's like painted like a beautiful giant sea
Yes.
turtle.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's so cool. So
So the
I've got
moral of the
my
story is you fly to Hawaii, spend a couple days in Hawaii, and then book that flight to Japan.
exactly. Now we're talking because it's going to be cheaper and you get to fly in a giant turtle.
That's
I have
amazing.
my seats.aero alerts set up, so if you guys see me flying on a turtle next year, you know why.
I want pictures. The next one I want to talk about is one that I booked, and actually, by the time this episode airs, I will have already flown it. And that is
Ooh,
Condor Airlines, which I have never flown before. It's a German airline, and I booked from Boston to Frankfurt for 55,000 miles and $48,
sweet.
which is great. Lie flat seats. I'm excited to try a new product. And one thing that I've noticed about these Condor flights, we've seen a lot of availability pop up in recent months. We've actually had some award alerts go out on upgradedpoints.com for that Condor Airlines business class availability at 55,000 miles. So that is a great option with some decent award availability at the moment. And I booked that with Alaska. Okay, next one is KLM and Air France. They share a um, rewards platform, Flying Blue, and I've booked both of these. The KLM business class, actually, by the time this airs, I will be potentially, actually, I have to double check the date. I might be actually flying right now. Or
Ooh,
if not, I will talk about it as soon as I get back. So KLM business class, where you get those cool little Delft houses. I'm very
oh yeah.
excited when you're flying to and from Amsterdam intercontinent, like over the ocean. And I booked that for 48,500 points via Virgin. It did have
Mm-hmm.
$400 in taxes and fees.
Mm.
Not
Points is a
amazing.
good deal.
Points is a great deal, but you know what? It was the day I wanted, and I'll pay that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's still a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I have to pay taxes and fees sometimes, it's cool. And then Air France, I flew twice last year. One time, JFK to Paris, I flew Air France business. I paid 44,000 miles and $200. I was able to take advantage of a 25% transfer bonus from Amex that time. It was originally 50,000 points, which is sort of their standard. And then I also flew from Paris to JFK. That one was 50,000. Higher taxes on that one again, 382. But it was the day I needed, and if I can get that on the day I need, if I have to pay a few $100 in taxes,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
No complaints. I agree.
Mm. Yep.
Um, I'm going to take it back to Japan. This is one I actually booked last year, so I know it's possible. It's 60,000 American Airline miles and only $5.60 in fees. And that is flying on Japan Airlines metal from many airports in the US. Think New York, Chicago, Dallas, LA, Boston. These are all available for 60,000 in business class, if you can find availability, of course, and just $5 in fees. And again, just like
That's
ANA,
amazing.
yeah, it's a great product. The service is incredible, the food is good, and just the price is unbeatable.
Yeah, that price, come on. I Japan is on my list, so I'm hoping I can make that booking in the next year or 2.
Let's do it. We'll have
Yeah, absolutely.
a podcast recording from Tokyo.
I love it. Let's do it. Okay, let's move back to something maybe not quite as flashy. American Airlines flagship business. Although they did just announce recently they are going to be debuting their flagship business suites. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of exciting for American Airlines. I have flown their basic flagship business. It's not flashy, but it's comfortable. I've always had a good experience, and I booked it a couple years ago, and then I forget exactly what I paid. I think it was 57,500, which is sort of their normal saver level price. But coming up in July, we are flying. We're doing a cruise, so we have to fly to London because we're leaving out of Southampton. I booked it for 54,000 miles plus $5.60, including the segment from my home airport. So that was Columbus
That's
to
awesome.
JFK to London for 54,000 American Airlines miles, and I booked 4 tickets.
So that was flying on American and booking with American?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's not a complicated booking, it's super simple, not too exciting, but wow, like, that's amazing. For
That's a
4
great
tickets the day I wanted,
yeah.
including that extra segment, I was really happy with that.
That's a nice perk about American Airlines. It's very easy to use, and you can often add on these smaller airports for no extra charge. So if you're
Yeah.
flying from Columbus, a lot of people may have to, reposition to New York or something to get on that flight. But with the American Airlines program, you don't have to. And one underrated bonus that you can cancel for free.
Yeah, yeah, and, as someone who flies always from sort of a mid-tier airport, I'm always traveling to Chicago or New York or wherever to connect. So when I can get that on the same itinerary, it just makes everything so much easier. Because if something happens with that first flight and it is on the same itinerary, then the airlines is on the hook.
Hmm.
But if you have that as a separate segment, which I do quite often, and something happens with that, you're screwed. And we talked about
Yeah,
this, I think, a few episodes ago. Someone was
yeah. Well, I got
flying
stuck.
to Japan, right, from New
Oh
York,
yeah,
and they were
reader
wondering if
question.
they should fly in that morning or the night before. And if that's on a separate ticket, you fly in the night before. But that's why I love being able to find these where you can get everything together on one itinerary. It just makes life so much easier.
Agreed.
Okay, next, United Polaris. I flew this last December, from Columbus to Newark to London for 60,000 Aeroplan points plus $56. That was another one.
Nice.
And this was actually, I know we talked last week about Seats.aero. This was the flight that I booked, the very first one I booked from a Seats.aero award alert.
Ooh, how exciting
And
when those pop up.
I was giddy. Like, I remember I was sitting there, it was like, I don't know, November. I had an American Airlines flight booked already, which was fine, but it was a separate award. Like, I had the separate section from Columbus to New York. So I had my alert set up. We're like watching TV. I'm on the couch and I get it. And I like get up, I jump up and like audibly gasp because I was so excited that I just set this award alert and sure, and it just popped up in my email and I went and I booked it. And I was just, that's what got me hooked. And I paid for my pro subscription as soon as that alert came in. So
Uh,
that flight has a special place in my heart.
That's a good one. I love when those alerts pop up. All right, well let's take a break. When we come back, we'll actually show you how to book these flights. All right, welcome back. Talking about those great flights is awesome, but how do you find them? Well, just like this awesome podcast, we have an awesome free newsletter. If you go to upgradedpoints.com/join newsletter, join dash newsletter, we'll link to that in the show notes. We send out free award alerts, free deal alerts, guides, tips, and all the latest travel news. So when we find these great deals for Q Suites or Japan Airlines business class, we put them on the site and then we'll send them to your email. So if you haven't signed up, definitely do that. And if you prefer to search on your own, check out our latest episode. We just went over all of our favorite tools that helps you search for these flights and set award alerts.
Yeah. And once you have those alerts, how do you earn those points to be able to book these amazing trips?
Mhm.
And really, we talk about this a lot on the website. I'm sure we've talked about it on previous episodes of the podcast and in the newsletter. Welcome bonuses and elevated welcome bonuses on credit cards are the quickest and easiest ways to amass a large amount of points in a relatively short amount of time. We've seen welcome bonuses recently that are enough for one, even two, maybe three business class one ways from, let's
Mhm.
say, the US to Europe. So you really want to pay attention to when elevated welcome bonuses are available. And this is something we write about all the time on upgradedpoints.com. And we do include those welcome bonus offers in the newsletter. So, again, if you aren't signed up for that newsletter, make sure you're doing that or make sure you're checking the website every day. So some of the ones we've seen recently, the American Airlines Executive World Elite card, which is one that we both spoke about a couple
Mhm.
episodes ago, has a 100,000 mile offer right now. So it's 100,000 American Airlines miles. The spend on this one is a little high. It's 10,000 in 3 months, but there are ways to make that happen. And we do have an article, I believe, on the website giving you ideas of how to sort of hit those high spending thresholds
Mm-hmm.
without spending money that you don't need to spend. There's
Right.
some great ways, like you can prepay your taxes, which is something I do a lot. We pay quarterly taxes. So that's a great thing to do when you have sort of that big minimum spend. The Aeroplan card through September 17th is offering a 75,000 point bonus after spending $4,000 on purchases in 3 months. So that's a great one to pay attention to. The Alaska Airlines business card has a targeted offer out right now that's really exciting, 75,000 miles and a companion fare for
Ooh.
only 4,000 and spend in 3 months. And I will say that those are the offers on these cards at the time of recording. They can change at any time, so make sure you are double checking upgradedpoints.com for the most up-to-date offers. But join that newsletter and you will get all of these in your inbox every week. Okay, let's move on. We have a really great question, and I'm going to ask this one to you, Chris. I got this question from Joy on Threads, actually. And she asks, we have almost 300,000 Chase points. We plan to transfer to United, but so far that doesn't look all that advantageous. Are points only for when you can be spontaneous? We usually have to plan pretty far in advance. She said 5 to 6 months because we have pets to be looked after. What do you have to say about that one, Chris?
Okay. Well, I think in general, the best time to book lately is about a year in advance or last minute. So you don't need to be spontaneous to get value out of your points and miles. But obviously, having that last minute flexibility does help. Or if you're really good at planning, can plan a year in advance, you can often find some really good deals that way. That being said, I think you still have plenty of options. We use a tool like Seats.aero. You can search by your route, and then maybe instead of transferring your points to United, you get some great balance. Maybe you find something with Aeroplan, and then you can use those Aeroplan points to book with United. So using these tools not only will help you find availability, but it can also maybe open up the realization that your points can be transferred to partners that maybe you weren't familiar with before. Like I said, Aeroplane can book with United, Virgin can book with ANAs. There's just plenty of different options out there. So you don't have to be stuck in that 5 to 6 month window and think, oh, I have to wait until the last minute to book. Hop onto one of these tools that we talked about in the previous episode, and then I think you'll be able to find some nice options.
Yeah, and there's also just, when you expand your thought process a little bit past the American or US based carriers that you're familiar with, you can find a
Hmm.
lot of really good value out there. So expand your search a little bit and expand your sort of idea of what you can do with those points. And I think you can find plenty of cool things to do in that 5 to 6 months booking window.
Well said.
Well, that's going to do it for us this week. If you have questions or comments for the show, if there's something that you want to see more of, maybe something you want to see less of, you can email us at podcast@upgradedpoints.com. And if you're enjoying the show, we would love it if you liked and subscribed on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week.